You either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Weird Shorts. I'm Nico.
And I'm Chris.
And we have decided for Nic Cage November to do something a little bit different with our shorts.
Yeah.
We've decided to do a short about a movie where Nicolas Cage is not a main character, so we can't really call it a Nicolas Cage film.
But he is in it.
Exactly. So like movies like Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
And for this one, we decided to pick an iconic role that we wish the original time he had been cast as his character had been made.
Yes.
Because it would have been glorious, and it would have been a failure, but we would have loved it.
It would have been a classical failure.
We are finally doing the movie where Nic Cage plays Superman.
It's his dream. It's been his dream for decades.
In Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Yes. Which, for those of you not familiar with Teen Titans Go, not Teen Titans, Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go is somehow a well-off, kind of fairly popular kids spin-off of Teen Titans. It's silly. The animation style is all very
chibi.
It's very chibi, but also got that like new modern spin to it that we've been seeing a lot of like classic cartoons getting up to speed with.
It's very
big
updated
eyes,
Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, big eyes, tiny bodies, that whole thing. And the TV show is very episodical. There are definitely episodes that I like, but for the most part, I am not a Teen Titans Go fan.
I'm not very versed in this. When I first lived in Nebraska, when the original Teen Titans animated series was released,
yes,
love the show.
Oh yeah, no, the original, mwah.
This and Batman Beyond are like the only cartoons of American superheroes that I've really seen.
And both of those, I would argue, are like gold standard classics.
Yes.
There's others that if you really wanted to, Erica and I can get you started on, but those are definitely two of the shining examples. Teen Titans Go didn't follow its predecessor in any way.
It's like a middle schooler liked the series, but wanted to add more jokes into it.
It's a lot more jokes, and sometimes the jokes are funny. Sometimes they are very self-aware that, the Teen Titans aren't taken seriously. But a lot of the time, it's middle school antics.
Yes.
And I think part of the reason it got really popular was and it might still be, because I don't have cable TV anymore, but it used to take up almost all of the time slots. It was on constantly. So it doesn't surprise me that Teen Titans Go to the movies. Actually, a lot of people bothered to go see this in theaters. Yeah,
so I went into this movie knowing that from the trailers I'd seen in the break room of Cabela's, that I did not care for the humor of the advertisements.
Fair, yeah.
The quote-unquote trailers for this show.
Yeah, the trailers definitely tried to capitalize on the TV show's style humor.
I will say, for the movie, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah,
because this one is one of those movies where it feels almost like a version of like how Scary Movie or Superhero Movie was, but in a smarter version, where instead of being a spoof, they're making fun of it by basically the plot of this movie is Robin has decided that the pinnacle of being a superhero is you have a standalone movie made about yourself.
Which is a little bit of a jab to current Hollywood and the superhero culture that we've been seeing. Because let's be real, everybody and their mom has a movie, except for Robin. Yeah,
and my track record is some of the movies are fine.
Yeah.
I'm not a big superhero fan to begin with.
Sure. I love superhero movies, but I have a hard time keeping up with all of the new ones. And specifically, I'm just not a DC person. Mostly because I like DC's animated TV shows. That's what I grew up on. And then when the movies failed to meet my expectations, starting with Green Lantern, which was disappointing because Green Lantern was one of my favorites in the Justice League TV show. Like, mostly because he was borderline useful, but only a little bit. But he had a personality and a backstory that all made sense, and then DC's movies never quite cut it for me. Where Teen Titans Go to the Movies does shine is they acknowledge that, and they're almost brutal to themselves in ways.
And I think I might have mentioned it previously, is I think part of the reason superhero movies were successful to begin with is because Iron Man was very much an updated version, it was up to date, where it was dealing with arms race and dealing with our involvement in the Middle East.
Yeah, it all felt topical, but at the same time, a lot of people could feel like they could identify with Tony. Not, like, financially, but as a character.
Whereas most of the recent ones, and the couple DC ones I've seen, they're very comic booky, but that's not necessarily. They're not a runaway success that the Marvel franchise / the first Iron Man was.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because there is a beauty to the darkness that the DC universe drawing wise has, and it translates well in the drawn format. It doesn't always translate super well when you try and make it an edgy real life movie. Yeah, like it works the first time because it's edgy and it's by itself, and then it just kind of gets weird.
Yeah, well, okay, I say that, but Joker was I like the topic of it, but I didn't think it was as good of a movie as people said it was. Sure. It reminded me too much of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Sure, but I also think that a lot of people who saw Joker probably haven't gotten around to that one.
No, or even know that movie exists.
Yeah, and if they did, they'd probably really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, I think, works as a superhero movie because A, it's not taking itself seriously whatsoever. It's not a spoof, but it is. Yeah. It's spoofing itself while but not like, oh, we made a previous one and we're making fun of that. It's like actively, as lines are coming out, they're like, this is dumb. And they're like, yes, it is. Let's keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And even Stan Lee has an appearance in this, voiced by Stan Lee, too.
An actual Stan Lee appearance. And the reason why we came to the decision to watch this movie for Nic Cage November is because long time ago, Nic Cage was actually cast to play the glorious Superman.
Yep, in a Tim Burton adaptation.
Yeah, Tim Burton film, too. So it would have been the DC's slightly grungy appearance, at least. So it would have been on brand.
Yeah, if I remember right, it was canned because of creative differences between Tim Burton and the production and the producers.
Which makes sense. We've seen Tim Burton's works. We all know that he is a very eccentric, stylistic director. Yeah. And so, yeah, I can see how there'd be some clashing there.
We've seen how his Batman's turned out, which...
We did, which, some people feel strongly about it.
See, I grew up with like Adam West Batman.
Fair.
And everyone I knew, their like back in the stateside, their reference to Batman was that era of Batman.
Yeah. I think it kind of depended on which Batman you grew up with.
Yeah, exactly. And I grew up on the spoof Batman, apparently, which I didn't know was a spoof until...
I think a lot of people didn't know it was a spoof.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
It's fun.
It's still fun.
Yeah.
And so and if you want, there are pictures of Nicolas Cage full costumed up as... Like, they even got the whole bodysuit and everything ready for it. Like, they were ready to go. So there are delightful pictures of him as Superman.
Long, flowing locks.
Long curly hair, which almost looks good on him in that Nic Cage way.
Yeah.
Like, it's real close to being handsome, but also, like, it's Nic Cage.
Yeah, and, I don't know.
Nic Cage just has that face where it's like, you either like Nic Cage's face or you don't. There's not a whole lot of in the middle.
I don't like his face, but I like his acting.
Same.
Yeah.
And so finally, Nic Cage gets to play Superman. He gets to voice Superman. And the thing I liked about Nic Cage's role in this movie is Superman isn't overly comedic. Like, Superman's just Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts where he's silly and it's over the top, but for the most part, he's just playing something of a caricature of Superman. And he does give actual advice to the Teen Titans and Robin.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this movie is, as ridiculous as the Teen Titans go, not just Nicolas Cage, but almost all the other superheroes in the movie are very grounded characters.
Nothing feels so over the top that they distance themselves from the rest of the movie, with the exception, arguably, of the Teen Titans themselves. And that's kind of the whole premise of the movie, is that they're too goofy to be superheroes.
Exactly.
Which that's a cute theme, is like, you can still be successful and goofy. Does the movie make its own point? Not really. It quickly forgets that was its point. But, like, it continues to go back to it, but they're not bad at their job ever.
No.
With the exception of the very first fight, which even then didn't go that badly.
No, because the other superhero showed up, and that's when Nicolas Cage appears.
It is.
Which...
And so, like, they're not bad at their job at any point in this movie. So, like, yeah, verbally they say that that's the lesson that you should learn, but visually, they kind of just throw it right out the window.
Oh yeah, and even at the end of the movie, Robin's trying to bring up the lesson. They're like, no, movie's done. Piss off.
Yeah.
Kids don't want to hear this shit.
And, yeah, it's humor like that.
Oh,
throughout the whole movie, which is fun. They do put in an uncomfortable amount of toilet, butt, and farting jokes, which, if that's not your gig, don't bother.
Yeah.
That's kind of the bread and butter of this show. But it's not as much as I think the TV show leans on, which makes this a little bit more bearable.
Exactly. There's a lot of adult humor and explicit, not explicit.
Not explicit, but like...
adult content where there's enough to keep our interest in it.
Yeah, it's definitely... You can tell that this was written with an adult watching it in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't specifically written for little kids, though the plot is.
Yeah.
But the jokes, I think, they weren't dumbed down too far.
No, exactly. And so I have I don't know. Because I tried focusing on Nicolas Cage when I rewatched this.
Sure.
And for me, starting off, you can tell it's Nicolas Cage.
Of course.
He has the specific bravado that is Cage.
Yes.
But he's very toned down, which I think is great in it.
I do too. And honestly, I kind of think that that's probably how he would have played Superman. Mm-hmm. Like, at no point does it feel like they cast Nic Cage as Superman because that would be funny. It very much felt like, hey, you remember how you were going to play Superman? We actually kind of liked that. Yeah. You should do it.
We've got about 6 lines for you if you want them, which, by the way,
course.
He only has like 6 or so lines in the movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, though, is, like, kids aren't going to get the reference, but I think enough adults know that Nic Cage could have played Superman. Not everyone knows the full in-depth details as the true Nic Cage fans. But, like, a lot of people know enough to be like, wasn't he supposed to play Superman? That's cute.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's honestly the only reason I watched this movie to begin with is because, one, Nicolas Cage is in it, and I'm on a quest to own a copy of every movie he's been in.
Fair. And I think the reason I originally watched this movie was back before it actually came out. There was a lot of teasing that if enough people saw this, the old Teen Titans original was going to be either part of the movie or potentially revamped. And
they kind of are.
I mean, they're in it, but also, like, it's been made pretty clear that if Teen Titans, the original, was ever Frankensteined back onto the screen, it would be like a miracle of God. We've run out of other things to revive. Sort of situation.
Well,
which I'm not mad at.
Yeah.
Because as much as I loved the old Teen Titans, I mostly watched this movie to see what they were going to fuck up with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that they're barely in it, I'm okay with, because while I don't like Teen Titans Go as a Teen Titans franchise, I do think that they're a funny kids show.
Yeah.
And they take the characters in their own comedic spin, so it didn't feel too rippy-offy to me.
Yeah, it has some merit to it, where initially going in, again, that you think it's going to be a stupid children's show.
Yeah.
And not like, I mean, it still is,
it
at its heart,
it
is a stupid children's show.
But in the same way where Lego Movie knew what it was, and also knew that it was going to have to cater to an adult audience, and instead of just allowing it, leaned into it.
Yeah.
I think in a different way, but same style, Teen Titans Go did something similar, where, they're kiddie jokes and they're very mature, but you're still gonna laugh.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think they definitely made it its own.
They did, which I appreciate, because honestly, that was, I think, a lot of people's fears when this made it to film, was, are we just going to be butchering and bribing people to come watch this because of the original love for Teen Titans.
Or you're being dragged because it's your children's movie now.
Yeah, and honestly, I think a lot of people enjoyed it. I don't think it was the adult success that something like Trolls was, where I remember when Trolls came out, half of our own adult office was obsessed with Trolls. One section even did it for their Halloween group costume, which, adorable, but I hadn't seen the movie at the time, so I did not get the reference.
I think that was before I moved to the office, so...
I think potentially, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know how Trolls even became a thing, like, or how it's still popular. That's my thing, like...
It has its own weird charm where I can see adults who don't necessarily need specifically adult jokes, where it's written well enough that an adult doesn't feel like they're being talked down to.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's still got that carefree and innocence that a kid's movie you want and expect. But instead of having a heavy story or message, where a lot of Disney films currently have been leaning towards, Teen Titans Go, Trolls, and even some Pixar movies kind of have this just kind of like carefree whatever feel to them, which for a lot of people is appealing, especially since adult films don't really get to have that. It's a lot of heavy plot base, with the exception of some comedies, and even then we're seeing a pretty heavy plot base that's heavy on the like, oh, something bad happened, but we're making fun as we go.
Yeah.
Whereas Teen Titans Go, it's all just fun. There's no real danger of Robin not getting a movie. Nothing bad would happen if Robin didn't get his own feature film. And Trolls kind of has similar, where, yeah, there's a bad thing and it's definitely detrimental, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's the end of the world.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because, I mean, it's not a Robin movie, but it's a Teen Titans movie.
Thus, it's a Robin movie.
So, thus making it a legitimate
yeah.
Teen Titans movie, and they've made it.
They've made it.
But they don't...
But know it's still not a Robin movie.
And they still know that they're in a movie, especially with how it ends, too, which... Gold star for how this ends.
Yes, the ending is good.
I'm going to spoil it because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't, and at this point, if you haven't seen it, don't worry, it's not going to ruin the movie.
Basically, it ends with them all getting together, and Robin starts going on a rant of like how the movie's supposed to be about X, Y, or Z, and they're trying to shut him off, close him off with the screen, and then pops out and says, "Hey, kids, ask your parents where babies come from."
Yes, and that's how it ends.
Yes.
Which, hilarious.
Is great, because that is how Deadpool should have started.
Which is hilarious, too, that you bring that up. I like that the movie is self-aware in the way where the characters seem to know who voice actors are.
Yeah.
And because they constantly are referencing the main villain, they're like, aren't you Deadpool?
Yeah,
and he's like, no, I'm not. But that is who it is. It's the same character, or same voice actor. But for this film, he's not Deadpool.
I didn't think Deadpool, no. Deadpool's not Ryan, or Slade's not Ryan Reynolds.
No, but they spend a lot of time trying to convince you that he is.
Yeah. I mean, they're very similar.
They are very similar.
And that, I think that's actually smart too, because they're kind of poking fun at how almost every superhero has like a counterpart in the other universe.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of writing that I think made this movie more than just watchable.
Yeah.
It was more than just tolerable. It was enjoyable. Yeah. Will I be spending all of my weekends rewatching this? No. But if it was on TV and I was stuck in a hotel room, I'd probably finish watching it.
Yeah. Real quick, I do apologize for my upstairs neighbors vacuuming. I know I will not be able to edit this out.
No, it is cleaning day.
Yes, they're sporadic. Let's vacuum every 20 minutes here and there.
Maybe they're made of sand and they're cleaning up all of the sand.
Is it the villain from Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, he has to do this constantly. Sand everywhere.
I'm sorry, but anywho, yeah, I don't know. I agree with that. I probably would only rewatch this movie if I had nephews or nieces who wanted to. Yeah,
this would be one of the ones I would try and like encourage them to watch, because I would be okay with watching it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I can leave them to go and ask their parents where babies come from.
I think for most kids, they'll understand that is a joke and something they don't want to ask.
And I know a bunch of kids who would...
Oh, I also know several kids who would just blindly ask.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So, at the end of it all, Cage-wise, is this movie worth watching for Cage alone?
The whole movie? No.
No.
However, I do think that his clip of, like, the few minutes that he's in the movie are worth giving a quick, like, tee-hee watch, especially if you are reading up on Nic Cage's, like, past film potentials, I guess. Because they do a nice job with him and being Superman. Doo-doo. That is the entire joke of this movie.
Yes.
So, watch the whole movie? Not unless you, like, really want to. But the clip, yeah, I think you can probably watch on YouTube.
Yeah, honestly, if you're watching it for Cage, I don't think it's worth it.
It's, unfortunately, I wouldn't qualify it as a Cage movie.
No, which is exactly why we're doing it as a short.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a Cage film, not even in like a, oh, he's a side character. Like, no, he like makes an appearance.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I am too. As for the whole movie, I mean, it's maybe good as like a passing curiosity.
Yeah, like if you like this sort of humor, or if these sort of movies are at least entertaining to you, this is a good watch.
Yeah.
If it was on a rainy weekend, I would watch it. Is it high on my animated children's list movies to watch? Nah, somewhere in the middle. It's fine. I'll watch it. It wasn't high enough for me to, like, seek it out.
No. And later this evening, I'm gonna cleanse my eyes with another Nicolas Cage superhero movie. The new Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is Spider-Man Noir in it.
Oh, good. That's, it's all the man really wanted was to be a superhero. And now he gets to.
I mean, he was a Ghost Rider.
Does Ghost Rider count?
Yes, it does.
I guess it was a comic book.
Yeah, it counts.
Yeah,
well,
it does.
Ghost Rider's an anti-hero, which, semantics, it's a superhero movie.
I think, you're right, it is a superhero movie, but I think Nic Cage specifically wanted to be a classic superhero.
Yeah.
He's got a very traditional artsiness about him that makes me think he wants to play the like, classical hero.
Yeah. And
Not all the time. He's varietied, as we've seen, but I think the desire is still there.
And I think he could still play it.
I do too.
Honestly, I want...
I do too. This has re-sparked my desire to have someone petition to have him redo this Superman movie. I think it'd be good. Not necessarily Tim Burton's version.
Yeah.
But a version, like a nice, lighthearted 80s style Superman movie with Nic Cage.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
I would too. We need some good old 80s Superman.
I just need more Cage in my life.
Don't we all?
Yes, we do. And man,
we're getting there.
I think he is his own superhero.
In a way, he is, yeah.
He is going to be in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent as himself.
This is true. That's talent right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
in his own special way,
yes,
Nic Cage is a hero.
Exactly. So, anywho, this has been The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Shorts.
Thanks for listening.
Remember, listeners, ask your parents where babies come from.